So I'm going to play a piece of music for you that was from Soul Reaver 1. All right, this is only 2 minutes long, so I'm going to make you listen to it. So the reason I want to play that for you is because that entire song, and actually there's more to it than that. That was one of 4 layers that could play. It would switch over to a whole new set of tracks for 3 other modes, depending on what was going on in the game. And that recording you heard, plus 3 other fairly different modes for that same song, all fit with its MIDI data into less than 105 kilobytes. Do you remember the word kilo? Remember when we used K?
I remember the word MIDI.
185,000 bytes. Hey, Alex. Thanks for coming. And, I mean, you heard that. It sounds lush. Clearly, it doesn't sound like a film soundtrack that you're used to now, and it was only a 2-minute loop. But it had 4 totally different modes that it would shift into. And it did everything you just heard. And all the MIDI data and all the wave data all fit into less than 185 kilobytes. This was the black art that we had to do. Now, Alex Rudis, who just watched Power.
Wasn't the PlayStation 2 a real pain to develop for it? I mean, you had a reputation with launch.
I believe a programmer would be able to answer that question more intelligently than I. If I limit my answer to the audio perspective, it was quite liberating. People were still willing to do live rendered music at the time, although that was going away. But we had way more memory. When we made the transition from the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2, our memory went up from 500 kilobytes to 2 whole megs. It had to contain all of the MIDI data too, but still, that was a lot. So it wasn't too bad. The interesting transitions around that time, though, had to do with the fact that the PlayStation 2, it wasn't dead yet, but it was starting to become mature, and the expectations were going up and up and up. So it was getting harder and harder and harder to make a game for the PlayStation 2, mostly because everyone expected it to be really, really awesome. People were figuring out how to wring the lateral drop of everything out of it. In fact, that was a big problem for me in Soul Reaver 2, because they figured out how to stream animations through the audio I/O circuits. Because then you can have more animations. And it caused horrible problems for audio, and we had to scale back the audio design as a result. That was interesting. I don't know how many people here know that, but the lead designer on that game and the creative director for that game were Richard LaMarche and Amy Hennig. Anyone recognize those names from other games? Well, they were 2 of the 3 main people who designed the Uncharted series recently. Richard has very recently, like in the last couple months, gone on, he left the industry to become a game design professor at USC. So the Soul Reaver 2 is kind of an amazing game when you look at the roster of talent that was involved in it. I really like the Soul Reaver series because musically it gave me an opportunity to make really moody stuff. In fact, the reason I got the Soul Reaver 1 job in the first place is that a song that I had done for my solo album in 1997 called Don't Be Afraid, a song called Ozar Midrashim, had caught the attention of Amy Hennig, who was the creative director, and she said, "This is the kind of music I want in this game. We got to get this guy," right? And that wasn't why I made that song, right? But it became the theme song for Soul Reaver 1, and another variant on another song that I did became the theme song for Soul Reaver 2. And the mandate was to make really, really dark, moody, atmospheric, ethereal music. And at the time, I was doing Soul Reaver 1, it was 1998, it was still the case that most game music, at least most game music that anyone knew, was really blippy, really beepy, really choppy, really upbeat, very poppy, kind of constantly jammering at your head. It was a Japanese-driven art form to a large extent. It was expected. People conform to what other people are doing. Most people do. And so she was in a position to introduce a contrast, and she really wanted music that was just... I thought, I can do it. So that was really fun, making the music for that game.